What's going on, folks? Welcome to the Jake and Joe Bengals post-game show presented by First Star Logistics. Really excited to be here. Really excited to be doing a show with my good friend, Joe Goodberry again. Unfortunate the circumstances we're dealing with today, but each week the Bengals play. We will have a post-game show going for you here that breaks down what happened in the game and gives you a chance to win some really great prizes from First Star Logistics. And you really won't want to miss a week because there will be great giveaways every week, awesome prizes every week. This week, we have 2 PS5s we're going to be giving away, and you can enter that giveaway in the YouTube comments. We'll also be giving one away from the Twitter post as well. But to enter it in the comments, make sure you enter promo code #HooDay. Make sure you put in the hashtag. Make sure you do it all in one word, and you'll be entered to win a PS5. We'll get those announced at the end of the show here. And in week 2, you can win one of 3 pairs of Bengals Nike Zoom Pegasus shoes. In week 3, you could be the winner of a Cincinnati Bengals WWE Legacy title belt. So be sure you're following First Star Logistics at First Star Log on social media pages. Dave Lapham at DL in the Trenches, and both of us for all the information needed to be part of another great season of giveaways from First Star Logistics. And Joe, a very disappointing week 1 here. Let's just take the floor here, Joe. Tell me what your biggest takeaways are, and then we'll get to my biggest takeaways. We'll see where we have some common ground to talk about and where we should be looking going forward here.
Yeah, so obviously the Bengals fall to the New England Patriots in week 1 here, 16-10, unable to muster anything in the first half. And it was, honestly, if you're drawing up a recipe for what the Patriots needed to do to steal this victory, right, to be the underdog and come away with a win, they need to secure a few turnovers. They need to hopefully get the ball bounced their way a couple times, play a mistake-free game. Like, how many penalties were on the Patriots at all? And they need to be able to run the ball and control the clock. And they did all of those things. And it wasn't that it was an ugly game in terms of penalties on either side, but the Bengals got down into the red zone a couple times and just shot themselves in the foot on back-to-back plays. That's the one that sticks out to me the most. If you were to just say, what happened in this game I didn't watch, I would show the Mike Gesicki play in the corner of the end zone, unable to secure that touchdown, which we thought was a touchdown at first. You see him go to the ground, unable to maintain control through contact with the ground. And then the very next play, nice design. Tanner Hudson's open over the middle. This should work. And I don't know what he's doing with the ball in his hand as he's like trying to like avoid people in the air. You don't teach kids to do that. And he gets it poked out, and it's recovered by the Patriots. And from there, you could just feel like, yeah, this isn't what we want at all in terms of capitalizing your plays in a tight game. But I think as we step back and look at this entire game as a whole, we go, and you see the numbers scrolling down on the bottom there, like an accurate game for Joe Burrow. But we're going to talk about the quarterback play, I think, a lot this week. And was it even good? And is it aggressive enough? And is it good enough? Or was it what we've seen mostly in to start seasons in the Bengals and Burrow and Zach Taylor era?
Yeah, to me, well, let's get to Joe Burrow. We'll dive in there in a second. The big takeaways for me, I think I agree with a lot of that. Like, missed opportunities. That's where it starts. They have not just the Gesicki play, not just the Tanner Hudson play, not just the Charlie Jones play, but they have an opportunity after the fumble to get a stop and get the ball back and hold New England to a field goal, and they give up a 3rd down conversion. And they're trying to use their timeouts to try to get the ball back. The defense can't get the clutch stop. And I think the defense is going to take a lot of heat in this game. I mean, the entire team is. I think that given the way the game went, the defense was not as bad as perhaps they seemed. Not to say they were good, because they did not come up in those clutch moments that you needed them to, but this should have been a game where they were playing with a lead. And they got pressure to Jacoby Brissett when the game was in the balance. And then Jacoby Brissett, to his credit, played well, did not make the bad plays you would expect from a journeyman quarterback like that when he was under pressure. At some point in the game, PFF's doing live grading now, so I was kind of keeping tabs on that. PFF had it charted as like 40% of dropbacks for Jacoby Brissett under pressure. He finished the game at 37.9% of his dropbacks under pressure. It was like 50% of his early dropbacks, and he ran the ball so effectively when he was pressured. And that goes to my biggest concern with the defense. I guess the defensive interior. Let's start there. As far as one of my takeaways in terms of a defensive concern, they're just not there in terms of the cohesion you need to finish those plays where Trey Hendrickson creates the havoc and gets Jacoby Brissett off his spot. Sheldon Rankins and BJ Hill and Jay Tufele and Zach Carter, whoever it is, and Carter and Tufele played a lot, and Tufele actually played pretty well, need to be better in those situations where they have opportunities to get pass rush wins or pass rush cleanup sacks. It's not that the defense, the run defense concern wasn't actually as big for me for that interior defensive line unit this week. Not that they're going against good players, Michael Jordan and another rookie playing guard for the Patriots in this game. But the biggest issues to me were in the run game were defensive backs tackling. Yes. And so you have a pass rush issue with the interior defensive line and defensive backs unable to tackle when they have shots of Ramondre Stevenson in the backfield. That's, to me, what went wrong in the clutch moments on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, that play at the end there stands out, I think, with Dax Hill and Logan Wilson. The D-line is standing up their guys, and you've got two free defenders, one inside and one guy who's playing contain. Dax is playing contain, and if you can keep them from bouncing outside, that's a great thing. You got a wall of defenders on the inside. Logan Wilson gets juked, Dax jumps inside with him, and Ramondre Stevenson goes for a first down. And you can't have that happen there. But I saw Geno Stone miss tackles. He had a lot of missed tackles in his career with the Ravens as well. That was a thing. I saw Von Bell miss a tackle. I saw Cam Taylor-Britt at the end try and go for that strip. When I understand it, you need to get the ball, but at the same time, you get carried for 8 yards after contact there. And we didn't see Cam Taylor-Britt much at all in this game because the Patriots weren't throwing the ball to their outside receivers, right? Yeah. It was just control the game, get into a couple of third downs, and can Jacoby Brissett make a play and run for it? We saw a couple of those. We saw a couple of, Von Bell, Jermaine Pratt look at each other after play like, we bracketed the tight end kind of, and he still made a catch. What are we supposed to do? They just were not good. Someone asked me on Twitter, they said, why are we still having communication issues? I thought this was fixed. And, on a couple of these pass plays to tight ends. And I thought to myself, well, when you're not great in terms of talent at these positions, we talked about not having another pass rusher. We talked about not having the high-end talent at defensive tackle. The question marks with the corners, right? Dax Hill was fine in coverage today, but as a run defender, he was pretty poor. But we talked about these deficiencies, and they all reared their head during this game. And I said, well, if you're not talented enough in these positions, you need to have perfect communication and execution in order to have a high functioning defense. And we saw today, it wasn't that on both ends. So, I'd look at that and say, can anyone get a pass rush other than Trey Hendrickson? Please. Sam Hubbard looks like a shell of his former self. And we saw this coming the last year and a half or so, but I'm not sure he can do much of anything anymore. And that includes being a run defender. And then Sheldon Rankins and BJ Hill were MIA. I thought, to be fair, Hill did have a nice pass rush in the middle. He and Sam Hubbard looked like maybe a couple times they stunted, but on this one, they're meeting at the quarterback. Hubbard goes up for the pump fake. I don't know what happened to BJ Hill. Both missed the sack. I counted 4 missed sacks. Yeah. And this is what you say, 40% dropbacks were pressured. They didn't get many sacks on Jacoby Brissett. Maybe one. I can't even remember now. But the point is, these are plays that need to be stopped. The defense has to finish them. So I don't want to kill the defense too much because it's not like they gave up a big play over the top. They didn't give up. They didn't have big, ugly penalties. They didn't have defensive pass interference down the field or anything like that. Geno Stone, one other play that should have been made. Geno Stone had that interception. Yep. He comes down, very same play to the Mike Gesicki play. He comes down, he can't control it through contact, can't control it through the ground, and it falls incomplete. That could have saved 3 points at the end there and maybe given the ball back to the Bengals before the half and driving and scoring. So we'll get to the offensive side, but on the defense, nothing was good enough. You have to make plays. It's not good enough to be a bend but don't break in a game that's that close and they're controlling the clock.
Yeah, I think the other thing that was disappointing in terms of missed opportunities was that fumble that was forced by Ramondre Stevenson or against Ramondre Stevenson, where they got the challenge won, but then they didn't get an opportunity to actually recover the ball on the field.
Yeah, and
it looked like Osai would have come out with that one if it was a live scrum for the ball. Instead, no clear recovery, and so the Bengals don't get a chance to get the ball back. That is a little bit of potentially the Bengals lost out on opportunity there. I think they will probably feel that way, but it's not enough when there are all these other opportunities that we've left on the field. Let's remind the people here really quick. Make sure if you're just arriving, if you weren't here at the beginning to hear the spiel, you can win a PS5 right now. Put in the comments, #WhoDay.
Yeah, make sure you do that.
It's one word with the hashtag. We'll announce that winner at the end of the show here, and we'll also hold the drawing for those that took part this week on Twitter. All that, of course, thanks to the great generosity of First Star Logistics. On the defensive side of the ball, before we get back to the offense, Joe, to wrap up some thoughts here, and if you have more, obviously feel free to add them. The missed tackle numbers from PFF. Dax Hill, 3 missed tackles. I think all of those could have been tackles for a loss or right at the line of scrimmage.
Felt like it.
Geno Stone, 3 missed tackles. And I mean, tackling was never the strength of Geno Stone's game, but when you have 6 missed tackles from 2 DBs in a game, that really underscores the point that I was making earlier, where I'm talking about DB tackling is the biggest issue that we're having here in the run game. Sam Hubbard, 2 missed tackles. Those coming in the backfield, presumably. Cam Taylor-Britt charted with a missed tackle. BJ Hill, missed tackle. Jermaine Pratt, missed tackle. Trey Hendrickson, a missed tackle. Mike Hilton, Von Bell, both charted with missed tackles as well. That's all of your starting secondary players.
I was going to say that's everyone then. So everyone had a hand in the missed tackles today.
Yeah, not great. Logan Wilson was the second best pass rusher for the Bengals today. He blitzed 3 times and got home 3 times.
Right.
But people are looking for positives. I saw one comment that we highlighted here, looking for positives. And one positive I will highlight on the defensive side of the ball is that Trey Hendrickson is still really good.
Oh my gosh, was he good? I mean, we said this, like, you have to win if you're Trey Hendrickson versus Duke Okorafor at left tackle there. And boy,
and they were rotating. Vidarian Lowe was also playing left tackle. They were rotating their left tackles.
But did you see Hendrickson's reaction against on some of these? He would win. No one else would win on the defensive line. And he's like freaking out towards the sideline. And I'm presuming he's only going, can I get some help? Can somebody else win? Can we do something here? This is crazy.
Yep. And in one case, looking for a holding call. The other positive would be Ryan Rico.
Oh, that was a crazy punt.
Hit a couple of crazy good punts in this game, but
the Bengals really posted the one, right? The 80-yarder. That's the longest in Bengals history.
Yes, that was a franchise record and almost a net 79-yard punt. Like crazy. So close to a perfect coffin corner from 80 yards, which
so
is
close to being the best punt I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, really close.
Positives.
Yeah. Let's go to the offense here. And what did you think of the offensive line? Because I think this is going to be a bit of a Rorschach test. I did not think that Burrow looked comfortable in this game. I am not sure how much of that I put on the offensive line. I can't wait to see from a film perspective. There are a couple of times it looks like he's getting ready to pull the trigger on a ball downfield a little bit. And I think he had like 4 passes deeper than 10 yards in this game. And that last drive is kind of emblematic of the whole thing, where it's check down, including on the play he takes a sack. I think he could have put the ball up.
Yep.
And he had Jamar Chase on a corner. It's a hard throw. It's a cover 2 honey hole kind of throw.
That's the throw.
That's the throw you need your $55 million quarterback to make. What were your thoughts on the offense?
So his offense as a whole, they called some shot plays that Burrow didn't get it off, right? Either he was sacked a couple times. They got under center twice, right? The 2 that I'm remembering, and they called play action. One with a boot. Remember the tight end kind of hooked
the boot to Andre.
Yeah, we've seen that in preseason. I can't remember who caught that, but it's also very similar to play they scored against the Cardinals last year to Jamar Chase. So that play's going deep. He's looking for it. It's not there. He goes to the underneath to Andre Yosibash. But there was a couple plays that looked like where he's looking deep. It's not there. Either check down way too quick. Maybe that's the design of the defense, right? Maybe they had it covered. I can't see without the film. With something we will look at. We're probably going to debate a little bit. Maybe not you and I, but I think the fan base will say, we'll have like a still shot of the play and go, do you attempt this throw? Do you want them to just put it up there? Do you want them? If it's T. Higgins, does he do it? Right? So maybe it's a difference of who's out there. But there were a few other plays where it looked like he's getting to the top of his drop. He's going left, middle, right. Now he's getting sacked. I think of the first one that happened, it was like a kind of a switch release on the left side with Irwin and Jamar Chase on a 3rd down. Then he comes back right or to the middle, and it's Yoshi going over the middle. And then he tries to look. The last one is Charlie Jones shakes off his guy, and he's got a gap between he and the safety. They showed the wide replay of this, and by then Burrow sacked. Well, if we're getting all the way across the field, I'm not blaming the offensive line on those. I'm saying either the receivers got to either running it at the wrong depth, wrong timing, or Burrow isn't seeing it clearly. And someone on Twitter said to me, this is kind of similar to how Burrow has been early in the season every year. And I thought, you know what? You're right. it does take him some time to feel comfortable in the pocket. It does take him some time to feel good off script, to feel comfortable with what he's seeing on the field, offense, defense, pre-snap, post-snap. And it just did not look like he was comfortable at all today. And I wondered, I can't help but to wonder about the wrist, because it did get swollen up a little bit. He did have to work through it, but I wanted to see him push a ball. We didn't get, were there any throws where you would say, yeah, his arm looks 100%? There were none today to even give you an idea. What's that one?
It was incomplete, but there's one. It was the non-screen under center play on the boot left to Andre. I thought he got a lot on that ball. And he was not on his platform. He was off platform and got a lot on that ball, rolling to his left. It was an incomplete pass, but he looked, there was a lot of velocity on that ball. But generally, this is what Joe Burrow critics are talking about with Joe Burrow, is that he doesn't, like, look at the Anthony Richardson touchdown today, right?
Oh,
the deep
crazy.
ball. Like he falls. That. Joe Burrow can't do that. And so when he can't play on time, or it's not just playing on time, it's because he did extend the play effectively a couple times today, but he doesn't have that same ability to, like, in a split second, uncork a deep ball.
Or in that Anthony Richardson play where it's like the safety in the corner are there. You're got to throw it specifically super far into this one point. Burrow can't do that. He doesn't have the arm to do that.
At least right now. I mean, we've seen him uncork crazy deep balls before. Not necessarily
great
60
accuracy.
plus, 65 plus downfield, but that is one of the common Joe Burrow criticisms. What about the offensive line? I've seen some people in the chat. Shout out to all of you in the chat. There are a lot of you. I see roughly 700 people here. Thanks for joining us here on the Jake and Joe Postgame Show, presented by the First Star Logistics Media Network. We are giving away that PS5. I think there are 100 new people here since the last time I was here. Make sure you put that hashtag #WhoDay.
Yeah, if you're confused why you're seeing the WhoDay in there, like we're excited for the team right now. That's to win a PlayStation 5.
Yeah, you can win you a PS5. We're going to be doing this each week after the season as well, just in case you are just getting here. You can subscribe. Make sure you won't miss it. Joe and I will obviously make sure we have those tweets out there for the people as well. And hopefully we'll be talking about some better things going forward. But PFF had Joe Burrow charted at 23% of his dropbacks under pressure. He ends up taking sacks on 37.5% of them, 3 sacks on 8 pressure dropbacks. I don't know that I put, you know what? I do blame. I think that for probably each of those 3 sacks, there is at least partial blame on Joe Burrow. So a lot of people concerned about the offensive line in this game. Keon Coleman, who we talked about actually before the game, like being the primary threat for that Patriots defense, has 2.5 sacks,
White.
I think.
Yes.
Keon White. What did I say? Coleman. That's the wide receiver for the Bills. What did you think about the offensive line today, especially in pass protection?
They were okay. Like, each guy took their turn, which is going to happen, right? Everyone had a play on replay where I was like, Volson, you probably could have latched on that guy a little longer. Karras, you're getting beat there, getting pushed a little bit too much into Burrow. You're not giving him an escape route. Or Trent Brown, you look a little slow and big out there. And then Alex Cappa, I just wonder if there's anything in his lower half anymore, any type of explosion or burst out of him. Is his athleticism completely gone at this point? Kappa's the one I'm actually watching probably that's the closest now, because I'm getting a little worried. But overall, I think you can win with that performance on the line if you protect them a little bit more, if you can move a little bit more as a quarterback. And because I look at the run game that got back on track when they leaned on it and they figured out what worked. Like, okay, we can gap right up the middle and dive out of shotgun. And it worked. I mean, Zach Moss, another, you want to do a positive. After his first 4 carries, people were like, man, this Moss guy's not looking great. Joe Mixon's having a great game for the Texans. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that. But then Moss gets on track.
There's so much there. Like, the Texans are in an entirely different offense, way better fit for Joe Mixon. Anybody would have said Joe Mixon is going to have a better year with the Texans than he would have had with the Bengals this year, or that he's had in the last 2 years with the Bengals. That is totally expected. But I agree. Zach Moss, I thought, found a rhythm a little bit. And if this game goes differently at the start of the game, we'll get to some other thoughts that I have about, like, where this game just totally got away from them and made it really hard. The run game, I think there's something there, some positives to build on there. I thought there should be against the Patriots. I don't know if that repeats next week against the Chiefs, who are much better defensively. But Moss, I agree, found a little bit of something there. They went back to back with that Eric All in motion pistol kick out block for the touchdown there in the red zone that Eric All was really good at in the preseason, both in camp and in games. So something there to build on, at least in the run game. Surprised at how much they were in shotgun?
Yeah, I mean, should I be? No, but you're right,
No, we
because
shouldn't be.
everything we saw from Joe Burrow throughout his career is he wants to be in shotgun, and they go what, 95, 96, 7% in shotgun. There was just a handful of plays where they were under center, and they were just an attempt to get something going deep downfield. No, yes, I am shocked. It's hard to answer that question because I thought they would do more. I thought we'd
Yeah.
see more screens, and the one screen was nice to Zach Moss, and the guys got out there and blocked, but like one screen, a couple play actions, that was not what I expected at all for this offense. Yeah, and I think we're gonna, a few more points on the offense here. I'm thinking of like the receivers, other than Chase, who clearly, gave what he had and what was his best out there. Right, there wasn't, but I could see some communication things where the other receivers are moving him up and down or moving him depth wise, left and right, and it'd be pre-snap, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. But Burrow was also calling things at the line. They were calling multiple plays in the huddle. There was one real good view of him calling the play. You could read his whole face in the huddle, and he's calling multiple plays in the huddle, and they're canning them or killing them at the line and going to it. So when people are going to complain about Zach Taylor's play calling, a lot of these are Burrow checking at the line and going to it. I thought the receivers and tight ends, let's put them in the same grouping, just not enough there for someone to win one-on-one when the Patriots are doing everything deep and saying, all right, check it down or throw it short and have a guy break a tackle and make someone miss and do something after the catch. They couldn't, right? Those guys really, like Trent Irwin's not going to do that. Yoshi hasn't done that. The tight ends, we could see the flashes of the upside. Both of them should have had touchdowns, but you see like not enough talent there to really effectively make a difference and take over a game when you need them because you're missing one of your star receivers. It stinks to have that because this should have been a game you won.
Yeah. And setting 3 drives on fire to start the game.
Yeah.
Pretty bad way to beat a bad team. You get out to one successful drive there early, but instead the Patriots get out to the 7-0 lead, and it's like, okay, yeah, we can hang with these guys. We got 3 straight stops. We're up 7-0. Oh, they turned the ball over. And the missed opportunities is just such a big factor. Let's start with one highlight here. Let's look at that Zach Moss run.
Okay.
The Zach Moss touchdown run. I'll pull up my screen here. We'll change our view. We'll do some screen sharing for the people. Make sure you're entering that promo code, that Houday promo code. You have a chance to win a PS5 here, courtesy of First Star Logistics. And
yeah, you got about 7 to 10 minutes left in that, so make sure you're hashtag Houday.
Yeah, pretty quick here. We're gonna be wrapping things up. We're gonna take a look at a few plays, get some closing thoughts, and then we'll get out of here. But here's what we're talking about: where the Bengals are in pistol.
Yep.
Here's Eric all offset or off the line of scrimmage. Here's Drew Sample, who's phenomenal on this play. By the way, I'm highlighting Eric all because of like the schematic proponent, but in terms of the Jimmies and Joes, Drew Sample does a great job here. So let's just let it run to start, and then we'll take a look at some of the specifics. But this is like the second straight time they run this play.
Yep. And they've run this in preseason as well. That's why I said I think we'll get Eric All and Drew Sample as the 12 personnel type guys. And even though All misses there, the fact that you can do that with him with his athleticism, he has the right angle. He's taking the inside shoulder, forcing 48 to go wide, which gives Zach Moss enough space to cut up behind him. So if you watch Eric All here, he's going to aim for that upfield shoulder so that 48 goes wide. That's a win. You've done enough to get that guy out of the play for Moss to cut up. And then Drew Sample is just killing his guy into the end zone.
Yeah, we can just watch Drew Sample here, just right here, this 89. First, I mean, does enough to decleat the guy that Trent Brown's probably handling fine here, but you get the decleat block there, and then you quickly get off, you get to the next level, you seal off the linebacker who also cuts off Kyle Duggar, probably the safety there.
Yep.
Or maybe that's Kyle Duggar cutting off Jabril Peppers, whatever it is. I mean, that's just a great job from Drew Sample to give Zach Moss that one-on-one. And a good job from Zach Moss to make the guy miss enough to get into the end zone. So that's our one positive highlight here. They go straight.
Before you go too far, though, Volson also on the poll here does his job really well. And we don't give enough credit to Volson at times.
Volson was good in this game.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Left side actually was all pretty good. Some concerns about Kappa. I think Amarius Mims needs to get into the lineup sooner than later. But overall,
use that athleticism from Mims for sure.
Not severely concerned, man. That's a pretty cool camera angle, huh?
It is. It looks so HD when they show that. Because I think they blur the background and focus all the pixels on the forefront.
Yeah, really cool. So that's our one positive play. Let's take a look at some of these missed opportunities, starting with Was this the first one? No, it wasn't. The first one is Tanner Hudson here.
And
This
this
should
is
have
a
been a
nice
touchdown.
play.
This is just
Yes.
inexcusable stuff. I mean, you set 3 drives on fire, but you're right here at the end of the half, able to maybe get a touchdown, a stop, a 2-minute drive, the 2 minutes in and out of the halftime here, right?
Yeah.
And well, we can just let it play. I mean, this is good stuff from Burrow, good play design, and I
Yep.
don't know what Hudson is.
Me
I
either.
just don't know what he's thinking. Like, what are we doing? Why are we putting the ball out here? Just keep
In
it tight. You
terms of
got the
play
first down.
design, you bring Hudson in motion and stack him behind. I think that's Jamar Chase.
That is Yoshi. Chase is
That
isolated.
okay, I see. Yep, and behind Yoshi, and watch Yoshi's going to run to vertical and pull both defenders out of there. So they release both inside. It really
Get a
just
little natural pick.
yeah, exactly. So he's wide open. This is easy money. Like, dude, just put your head down and go for it. What are you doing?
Tuck the ball in. Like, why are we extending our arms there?
You don't
What's
even need to
going
juke
on?
that guy.
Just get your head down. At least you have the first down. Worst case. And actually, he extends his arms twice. I didn't even notice this.
Yeah, the first one's away from the diving player, and that's where
Yeah.
Duggar goes, "Oh my god, I got a chance to hit this," and then he does it again.
Oh, just brutal.
Yeah,
Just brutal, because this is right after the Gesicki
yep.
incomplete pass, and then this
play.
is what, right before the drop pick.
By Geno Stone, the next is the ensuing drive. Yep.
Yeah, and then okay, so we've got this is the next one. You get a 3 and out of the half. You got some momentum back. Oh yeah, so this is before the Geno Stone play. So you got the momentum back. You're ready to go, and I'm watching this play. It's like, all right, great. We got to stop. Charlie Jones looks like he's going to have a chance to return this one. Nice little seam here. Good job making something out of nothing, and then the ball comes out. Like,
because that's a good return.
Yeah.
And he's had some questionable plays in this game too, Charlie. That people had issue with him fielding the one on the 4 or 5 at the end. I get not wanting to let that go into a 1-yard situation where you're down and your back's against the goal line, but at the same time, he wasn't getting much out of those returns. So
yeah. So we got one more here that we unfortunately need to look at, and
unfortunately,
man, the other thing we need to talk about is probably coaching real quick here. But last play we're going to look at, this 4th down. I mean, this is just,
oh, I hate this. So you're 5 yards away.
The amount of throws that we have short of the sticks. You got Jamar Chase blocking on a 4th down, and
I was going to say, if you look pre-snap,
play where the ball carrier now needs to gain 5 yards
and turn and run, like that's not ideal. And you look pre-snap, how many guys you got over there? You got 4 defenders standing up, right?
1,
and you've
2,
got 3
4.
offensive guys.
Got a deep safety.
Yeah, you could potentially get 5 over there real quick, and you have 3. So you don't even have a numbers advantage. These are normally run if you have a numbers advantage. 3-on-3, 3-on-2 would be excellent, but it's 3-on-3 at the very least, and you end up with 4 here because the DN comes off, the edge defender comes off real quick. Now, when you turn up field, you got to split between the deep defender that's on the boundary or the edge defender who's coming across. Like, that's a no-win situation. You're throwing it 3 yards behind the line of scrimmage. So now he's got to catch and run for 5 total yards. And I don't like it because it takes the ball out of Burrow's mind, right? Let him drop back and scan the field.
Yeah. Disappointing. Disappointing 4th downs. The decision to punt the ball late in the game when your defensive backs are tackling the way they're tackling throughout this game, you cannot get a run
we
stop.
talk about all year.
And that's the 4th down bot. I retweeted it. I guess I could have pulled that up before I stopped sharing my screen, but the 4th down bot was like plus 5% win probability to go for it there. And they got a great punt.
He punted well today.
In their defense, like Ryan Rico made a real big claim to that job today outside of the touchback early, but there's a lot of talent there for them to work with Rico as far as a punter goes. Let's hit on the coaching points real quick. A lot of people really upset about the coaching. And the biggest issue for me, without having seen the tape yet, because I don't know where, and the reason I bring up that qualifier is because I don't know if the blame goes on Burrow or if it goes on play calling for the amount of throws going short of the sticks in this game. I at some point tweeted in all caps, throw past the sticks.
Please.
I was very frustrated. And the 4th down. Those are the big ones for me from a coaching perspective that I take issue with. But besides that, I mean, it's really hard to overcome those 2 fumbles. Those are very, very back-breaking plays. But what were your thoughts on coaching here?
So when you do have those back-breaking plays and mistakes in execution, it is hard for me to get too mad at the coaches. But I've always said execution is a part of coaching. Having these guys ready early in the season, ready to go week one, is the objective. One of the objectives to getting to week one and having a successful season. The offseason, that like the Steelers practice tackling almost every day that they can. They come out physical and ready to go. And not just to compare Bengals, Steelers, and I don't even know if the Steelers won today, so it may not matter. And they may have missed 15 tackles also. But the point is that when you come out and you kind of look soft, or you're giving up these runs, or you're not closing in on these guys, you're not bringing them down on first contact, I start to go, why did it take 2 quarters for the run game to get physical? Like, these things need to be hammered throughout the offseason so that you can get to week one ready to go. But at the same time, that's usually in balance with let's stay healthy for week one. And well, guess what? You didn't show up to week one that healthy either. So the balance did not work today. And that drives me nuts. Decision-wise, though, and play calling-wise, I typically can't tell if the play calling's bad until I watch the tape. Other than that, the only thing I really had an issue with, though, is maybe there was a dark cloud or a funk over the team, and this is GM ownership, decision-maker-wise, because you've let some quality talent go. You have not signed either of your star receivers. To think that only affects one player on the team, I doubt that. I think that has reverberations throughout the entire team and the entire roster. And at times, if you don't feel like you're being taken care of, how much are you going to go out there and risk your neck? Trey Anderson played his butt off, but this is a guy that wants guaranteed money. And I commend him for playing the way he does as often as he does. But to think that every guy's like that, clearly that's not the case. Look at any of our own jobs. If you're not being taken care of, you don't always give the best effort. And the team overall did not look like they gave the best effort they could. I
always hesitate to question effort. I think they played
I do too.
poorly.
I know. Fair.
I don't know how much stock I am putting there yet. We'll see. We'll see what the tape reveals. Sometimes the tape shows us things that we don't notice live. I just think it's a failure of execution. You could call it a failure of preparation. At some point, the coaches are the final buck. Coaches didn't fumble the ball twice. We can all agree on that one. And that's not to put the coaches off the hook entirely. This is a game that even with mistakes, they should have been able to win going away. This is a much worse football team on paper, we think, the New England Patriots, and good for them for getting up and getting it done. And the slow start narrative is going nowhere. Play the starters in the preseason calls next preseason, they're going nowhere. And until they can take care of business, we thought this year with the soft schedule to open things up, this would be the time for it. And we didn't get that. And, we'll have more here. Joe will have his film takeaway show later this week. So you can check out Joe's film thoughts. And of course you can follow us on Twitter at Jake Liscow, at Joe Goodberry for some takes that we'll be firing off into the Twitter machine, or at least I'll be firing off onto the Twitter machine at some point here. But let's end on a positive note. First Star Logistics presenting this Jake and Joe postgame show on the First Star Logistics Media channel here on YouTube. We have some PlayStations to give away, and we can bring into the screen here our giveaway wheel.
Fingers crossed.
Let's give that a spin and see who's going to get that PS5. Here it goes. We have two to give away. So I guess this is the first one here. I really hope this pops up in big letters because that is tiny. Oh, wow, Jake. Love that. I wish that was at Jake Liscow, but at Thornton_Jake, you have won a PS5. Congratulations. That is one of our two. I believe we have another one here that we can pull up to give away. Just bear with us for just a second here while we get that going behind the screens. Congratulations to Thornton_Jake on winning that first Bengals decked out, striped, I believe, PS5. Hopefully
it is. No, you're right. I saw the ones from last year that they gave away, and they're all vinyl decaled up. So you can play Madden and do all the correct things that Zach Taylor didn't do today.
Yeah, that's right. How many entries do we have there? Can you read that number? Is that
257?
257 of you took advantage of the live chat opportunity to enter the drawing here, and let's run that. Let's see who's coming away with the second PS5. Man, it would be so brutal to see your name and then have it go away. Gosh, heartbreaking stuff. Steve McGlone, congratulations. Nice. You are the second recipient of a PS5 courtesy of First Star Logistics. Thanks so much for joining us here on the first Jake and Joe postgame show presented by First Star Logistics. We can't say enough good things about the generosity from First Star Logistics and them putting us together again to do a show and talk ball again. We're one of the fastest growing companies in Cincinnati. Appreciate all of you joining us. Hopefully we have happier things to talk about next week. And until then, we'll see you next time.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realize self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.